we're here again. It's Talking Sports. Greg Selbert, Pete Pettis. We're trying to get over the fact that we have no more high school football. And that's going to be a continuing burden here, I believe, on the show.
It is. I got my fix in anyway. This weekend I listened to the South Lake Carroll DeSoto game online.
All right. Wow, so DeSoto beat them, huh?
Instant classic.
45-42 or
yeah,
something?
Yeah, it was 49-45.
49-45.
Instant classic. Quarterback for South Lake Carroll, which some people have dubbed Johnny 2.0.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's
that good.
He's a commit to A&M also.
What do you know? By the time he come up, Menzel be on this thing.
He 8 seconds left, ball at the half-yard line. He couldn't get it.
Wow. Well, that's a great high school football game for the fourth round.
Yeah, I'm still listening to football wherever I can find it. But we are done with football here in the Rio Grande Valley. And
PI went out on their shield, 22-0, not terrible. They just offensively didn't have enough quickness, I don't think. But the defense played well.
Vela didn't play?
No, he did not play.
That was
a problem because he was the kid that carried him that game before against Navarro. So, hey, man, bottom line is they're the only team to go forward.
Yeah.
And the 15th team, I redid my research, the 15th team in Valley history to win 3 playoff games. That's pretty amazing. I mean, in other words, they're in tall cotton. They're in good company. 15 teams have been the most successful, and they're one.
I guess when that number came, when I read that number, it finally figured, not that it hadn't, but Valley Week finally was defined with that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And you're going to reach
decades.
You're going to reach a point in time when you bow out. I think it has to do with how you bow out that matters. Getting beat 58-6 is no good, but 22-0. You can live with that. Now, you wait and see how bad Navarro gets beat or Belleville gets beat by, who are they playing? Navasota.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against Belleville except that I hate them because they beat PI. But I can tell you this, they're going to get beat 50-0. So put that in the paper. Put that in your book, as they said in the Dance of the Wolf. Anyhow, I know that's terrible. I hope they don't watch this it's on the internet. Anybody can conceivably watch it. I'm going to have an anti-Belleville group against me.
So we're going to do a little something different here, but it's okay. We're going to do the 2012 review All City.
Nice. That's good. That's good.
Okay, so you got Coach of the Year. You got Roy.
Roy got us 10 wins, 3 deep. Gabe Pena at Economides got some consideration because he led that team to the playoffs for the first time since 2003. I thought that the job that Roy and his staff did was great because they had no stars. Their depth was only fair, but they developed depth. They found kids to do things this year that I'm not sure that they thought those kids could do, but they gave them the opportunity, they facilitated the success, and it paid off with 10 wins.
How many are they losing for next year?
They're about half and half.
Half and half.
They got David back. They losing Vince. In the second year, they're losing Vince, but they got Roy Cantu back. They got Brandon Garcia back. I think Robbie DeLeon is gone, so that's 2 out of 4. Linebackers will be back. Leva will not, and Diego will not, but Lupe Quintero, who's probably one of the best players on the team, will be back. Josh Danette on defense is a loss at 96. So defensively, they're not going to be as good as they were this year unless they hustle. Offensively, they could be good because they got both them running backs back and David Nelson do it. So I think North is going to be pretty solid.
All right. So you got valuable player, MVP, and newcomer of the year, VCon.
Yeah, they did. They had a good year. First of all, let's start with the newcomer, Ray Ramos. Mm-hmm. If you ever watched the kind of minutes play, the tall kid, rangy, number 35, and when he broke hard on that dive. I mean, he would just bust through there like a bronc, pow, run 50 yards for a touchdown. I think Ray Ramos had about 900.
Yeah.
May have gone over 1,000 in the playoffs. I think he did. He has a chance to be an All-Valley kid. I really feel like with his size and his speed and his toughness, man, he runs hard. He runs straight up, but then he'll just lower the boom and he'll crack you, man. He was a great newcomer, only a sophomore. Had some big games. Yeah, MVP from the same team. I was explaining this yesterday on that other network that shall not be named, 956, if you were to name it, but I'm not. I thought Andy was an inspirational player. A bunch of interceptions, a bunch of tackles. He played offense. He was one of those guys who were able to push the Jags to the next level in terms of believing that they could win. Good kid, great student, all-around athlete. He's not perfect and he didn't make every play, but you know what? He was the heart and soul of that team. Him and then Bubba Villarreal on offense. They were just gutty kids who worked hard. They refused to lose. So to me, you could have made a case for any number of kids for MVP, but sure. I thought that this particular one was decided on the basis of how much that person meant to the soul of the team. Andy Duarte, a strong safety, even played some corner. I mean, he did anything they asked him. He returned punts. He was one of those kids who I just really felt made a big difference.
Gotcha. Do you know what's in store for him after football?
I don't know. He's a pretty good long jumper.
Yeah.
His senior year, he's going to be in track. He's playing basketball right now. We'll talk about them later. he's got the size. He's never been the strongest kid. If he gained 15 or 20 pounds, I could see him going up to A&I and playing. I really could. He's a good football player. Good instincts. And you love a tall safety, as long as he can run and hit, because, man, that means he can go up and get the ball against them 5'10" receivers, or increasingly bigger receivers, too. So, no, I like Andy a lot. He's a good athlete. He's deserving of the award.
Got you. Okay, so for your offense list, how did you just want to go run down through it? You got your quarterback. You got Josh Vela, who on the 10-team playoff team.
And good numbers. Good numbers. Josh was up and down at some points during the season, and, all he had to do was relax and be cool and play. And when he did that, he was very good. I mean, and without a big arm, really, you watch him throw, he's not going to throw 70-yard spirals.
Yeah.
But he throws a nice intermediate route. He hit some deep balls. They had some good receivers. Josh, when he was most effective, too, when he chose to run. I felt that he was the best quarterback in town, and 10 wins speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Running backs are good.
Running backs are good. You got Ray Ramos and Renato Cavazos.
Well, if I told you about Ray, Camo was the other guy. Cavazos from Baylor, man. That little guy, he would disappear into the pile and emerge and bounce it outside and get 15 and go out of bounds before they even hit him.
Yeah.
Quick feet, very durable for a little skinny kid, a little naughty kid, Knotty. He's going to get bigger, and he's got great instincts. I think he had 9-something. Man, that kid, Baylor didn't have the worst offense in the world. They moved the ball at certain points. They just made a lot of turnovers, and they, had some interior line issues, as it were. But no, I thought Cavazos was a great back. I thought Montemayor of Edinburgh was a pretty good back. He was a hard-running kid the senior year. He's ran the ball for 3 years for the Bobcats, and he did a good job. I thought Tony Isaguirre from Economies, you've seen him play number 20, little kid. Yeah. But you know what? He got tougher as the season went along, and by the time that November came, he was running hard. Man, I'm proud of Tony. He's another guy who had nearly 1,000 yards. I mean, they had amazing backs. Bubba Villarreal, I mentioned briefly, he ran hard, and when you thought you had him, he was going to twist out of the tackle, put his head in your chest, and bully you for another couple of yards. He was so fun to watch, man. Bubba's a nut. Since he's a little kid, he's always been real active and energetic, and getting into stuff. And he's been fun to watch. I really enjoyed him. The other guys that impressed me are Edinburgh North backs, whom you've seen a couple of times, right?
Yeah,
Whiteside out of nowhere, number 8.
He was good. Yeah, he was good. I'm noticing on your list here, you've got a lot of people from North.
I do. I think the fact is that was the dominant team in town.
Yeah.
You say that, and then you note that Economies took them to within 1 point. And if they hadn't, had some issues at the end, they might have won that game. In fact, a lot of people think they probably could have and should have won that game. So
they were probably the favorite going in.
I think so. The fact is, both teams made the playoffs. North had some really outstanding kids. So did the Jags.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at the offensive line, we got 3 kids off that offensive line. Prieto and Felix Gallegos and Jimenez. Look, those guys have been together for 3 years. That was a great offensive line. I remember when they came in as sophomore.
Sure.
And they were green, but you could tell that they were going to be good. They all started as sophomores. See, the reason Economies made the playoffs, besides Andy and above them, was that their line was really good. It was the best line in town. David Anzaldúa, probably the best lineman.
Sure.
But the Economies line, all the way across the board, I think was more solid.
I was about to say him coming back next year should be great for them.
He's going to be good.
Yeah.
David Anzaldúa is going to be a D1 player. I think they had Rudy Trevino. They had this and that. They had a bunch of guys through the years that have been offensive line prospects. And I think this guy's another.
Nice. Going to defense, you got your D-line. You've got Josh Dennett, Isaiah Galvan, and Fidel Orozco.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, Isaiah was an immense presence for the Bobcats because he would rise up like a big bear, man. Number 35, he was good. And he had a really fast motor for a big guy. 'Cause he was about 250, 2-tech. He rushed the passer. He chased people down. At certain points in time, I think he had a tendency to wear down because he made so many plays. I mean, they just depended on Isaiah. He was a great football player.
Sure.
And one of those inspirational guys, too. I mean, people look to Isaiah. When they're on the field, everybody's kind of like, okay, what are we doing here? And he would always be kind of the leader of the group. I loved him. Now, Orozco is a guy who's coming back next year, number 50. He got a lot of good instincts, man, off the edge. Number 50, he's also the punter. That guy's really good. And, of course, Josh. I mean, Josh was one of 5 kids in town that made the 956 All-Valley team. And so, that's saying something. That's the best of the best. So he made this team, and then he leapfrogged to that team. I think he's going to make that Freedom Communications, or wherever they are anymore, Monitor, I don't know who they are, All-Star team. Because I think he's one of the best players in the Valley. 250, great speed, did it all. very good presence. Him and Isaiah both. I mean, they were like the big guys that people were not scared of per se, but always like know where they are. You know what I mean? That's the law of the jungle.
You remind me that he was punting, and he's got a good spiral on that kick also.
It's funny because sometimes you take a kid who's a lineman, but he's more agile than you think, and you take a kid who's small, but he's kind of he doesn't have the angles. No, I think that kid is tough.
Yeah,
Roscoe is going to be one of the best players in the city next year, and he's an All-Valley candidate. Linebackers are cool. Diego Sandoval, we mentioned, ended up leading that team in tackles. He finally lived up to the potential that he had, which was great. I think for a senior year, Diego needs to be really pleased with that. He made a lot of plays, man. He really, because he always was the best-looking kid in the uniform, like 6'1", about 195, 200. He played ball this year. He played a heck of a season. He's one of the reasons why they did so good.
Thomas
Leyva, same thing.
Same thing.
Big kid, man. Big, wide kid, and he loved to hit. That guy was, he would always turn up at the bottom of some pile somewhere. I mean, their linebackers were among the best in the valley,
You could tell he liked to hit because you sent a lot of photos my way.
Yeah, and he was always hitting somebody or tackling somebody or growling at somebody. I love Leyva. I really did.
That's how I really know who's really standing out.
Now, Alexis Garcia had kind of meet his four. Let's see, what number was he? 42. Oliver was 52, who was very good too. This guy was very quiet, but he's like Jack Ham of the old Steelers. L.C. Greenwood and Joe Green and Lambert used to get all the headlines. Jack Ham led that team in tackles, man. So Alexis is one of those guys, very polite, soft-spoken kid, but man, he was active. I mean, he would run all the way across the field and pop some, but I really enjoyed watching him. Alexis was good. And then who's the other kid we had? Oh,
Justin?
No, let's see. Yeah, well, then we start kind of, Armando Barraza from Edinburgh High. Here's a guy who you look at him, you're like, is that guy a corner or what? He's tiny, Make no mistake. That dude is mean, man. He can hit. I love 34. I love that kid. He emerged out of a pack of guys for Edinburgh High in terms of who was their better second-line linebacker players. I really felt like he had a good season.
Yeah.
Some kids who were small can still hit because they have the desire, they have the technique, and maybe they're stronger than they look. So I've seen some 220-pound kids who are weak as babies. It doesn't necessarily mean because you're big you're going to be strong at all.
And, for EHS having the down year, it was good that somebody got mentioned,
Well, they got him, and they got the kicker and the punter.
Yeah.
Because as I said the other day on our other show, those guys, man, Christoph and Raymond, those are the best kicker-punter combinations.
They really are.
Oh, yeah.
Watching
Christoph was amazing.
Yeah, he can really kick.
Yeah. And Raymond, God, when he punts the ball, he gets great height.
Yeah.
He gets hang time, and he had, 10 or 15 balls that bounced inside the 20, and the dude would get him inside like the 8, the 5, or like, God, again, I don't know how you do that, but he did.
I wish they would kicking stats, as far as official stats here in the Valley. That's lame that
we used to back in the old days, but back in the old days, we used to count on getting in the newspaper box scores from every tournament game, too, and that's something that doesn't happen today, and I'm not making a political statement or being necessarily disappointed, but I depend on them box scores. I remember Carl Owens, the basketball coach at Harlan, we would call each other, did you get the Lyford box? Because he kept the same damn stats as me, and we're like, you weirdo. I'm like, no, you're a weirdo. Whatever. So we're both two weirdos. Now, secondary, great kids.
Okay.
Vince obviously had a great year. And Roy Cantu, though, to me, Roy Cantu, he came on. Baseball kid, made 7 interceptions, pretty good tackler. I look for that kid. He did hurt a knee at the end of the season. And I don't know I don't know how that's going to work. But I assume that he'll rehab and be back because he's a very effective football player.
Sure.
He just kept coming up. Now I'm like, who is this for? Roy Cantu's a player. I really like him.
Do you see him being one of the major leaders in the team next year?
Oh, well, I think he will. If he's able to play, he may even play some offense next year because he's a great athlete. All them baseball kids, Matt Ramirez, they had Fernie out there this year. I mean, they had like 6 or 7 baseball kids. So, yeah, hey, it's fun when you can share kids. I mean, let's face it, going to 4 schools, you're going to have to share some kids or you're going to be sequestered in your own little island with your own little group. If you can find a relationship with the other coaches and share, it's going to be good. You almost have to.
Hopefully they do.
So Roy and Vince, Andy, of course, and this kid from Vela, Justin Vadia, 25. Little guy, very active, made a lot of plays. I felt like there were a lot of kids on this Vela defense that were decent. Adam Barajas, the guy that came from EHS, he had a good season, number 9. Ronnie Benavides, man, he had a couple of games that were ridiculous. Number 4, I think that if he plays his cards right, Ronnie Benavides can be one of the best players in town. He's a tall kid. He played some offense at first. Didn't look like he was suited for running back. They found him a spot in the secondary, and he was just laying people out, man. He's not that big, but he's going to be big. I think he's going to be 6 foot, about 184 tall. I like Ronnie a lot. The other kid that impressed me in Baylor was Efrain Gonzalez, number 20. Again, a scrawny-looking guy, but, man, he was rangy. He looked like them football players back in the 50s.
Sure.
150-pound guys. He may not even be that. But I'll tell you what, dude can hit, and he made a lot of tackles. I guarantee you he had 70 or 80 tackles this season.
Moving forward, I know it's till next season, but still moving forward, how do you think Vela will fare next year?
Well, I think Vela will be. I was thinking about it last night. Funny you should mention that. Talk about withdrawals and hangover. We never even quit thinking about football. I think that if they make a decision sometime this year and who they think their quarterback is, that'll help. But they got some good ones. They got like a bunch of these prospects. Who knows? I think that they're all going to be back next year, and I think they're going to be a lot better. They need to work on, to me, and this is, of course, my amateur judgment, strength in the interior line. I think that they got pushed around a little bit this year. I think they have a lot of good rangy kids. Steven DeLuna, 44, was really impressive. They got Armando Ponce. They got a bunch of kids who are going to be back for another year.
Yeah.
We'll have a year in the weight room, a year in Coach Salinas' system. I feel like that. I don't know if they're going to be so much as 5, 6, 7 wins, but I know they won't be 0-10 again. I almost know that.
That'd be devastating.
No, they won't. They're going to keep improving, man. I mean, they had some marks that they hit this year, I think, as a program that they were pleased with. And those guys are in it for the long haul, and the fans better be. That's the thing. I'm not trying to admonish, even though I got the finger up. Sorry. That group needs to be patient because the bottom line is you start from scratch. They could have been a 3A. They could have been a 9th grade campus. They took the difficult option and dove in or dived in to straight 5A varsity, and they took their lumps. But no, I feel like that team's going to be better. I could see them going 500 next year and make the playoffs the next. Johnny David is going to be a sophomore, and you're going to get him more involved, and he's going to be a great player.
Yeah, no, I like. I know it's you get 0-10. That's
0-10.
Yeah,
there's another way to spin it.
But I'm a firm believer in jumping in head first.
They did the right thing.
Into
I think
the ocean.
They don't feel negative about it. Nobody wants to go 1-10, but they're going to be better next year. I can almost guarantee you. North will be good. Economides and the Bobcats remains to be seen. I think Economides probably has a chance. They bring back Lugo. They bring back, hopefully, Luis Alvarez, the quarterback, from that bad knee injury. They're going to lose most of their backs, but they have some good young kids coming up. The thing that worries me most about Jags is their defense is going to be decent. How do they replace those 3-year seniors that we talked about? Luis Prieto, man, that's a big 66.
Yeah. He's
been around when they were horrible, and now he's been around when they're good. I'm proud of him because that's a kid who really worked hard. Big, good offensive line. So,
right on.
Yeah. Next week, so what are we going to do? We may talk about McAllen
next
Mission,
week
Sharyland area.
The Valley Town Cars demographic for sure.
Okay. A preview.
Yeah.
As we continue to nurse our addiction to high school football.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, dude.
What can you say?
It's not over yet.
We admit it, man.
It's not over yet. I'm still trying to figure out a way to get to the state title.
But Refugio lost.
Yeah, that's
What?
the big one. Yeah.
I thought for sure they were beating team 70-0. How did they lose?
Yeah, that's.
Did they get beat by East Bernard? Is that who beat them? Yeah. No, East Bernard in the 70s was every bit as good as Refugio has been lately. I don't know if anybody ever remembers this kid, Willie Mack Garza, that played for Refugio. Remember him?
Yeah.
58 touchdowns a season. Played ball for UT. He got a cup of coffee in the pros, man. Willie Mack.
I was listening to the Katy game also.
Katy.
They're absurd.
70-0. Who beat someone 70-0 in the third round of the playoffs or the fourth round? It's like, I don't think Steele's going to beat them. They're not.
That's the game this week. It's in Waco. If anybody's in the Waco area,
I was like looking, and I was going down the list and like, please don't be very far away. I don't Waco. If it had been somewhere like, I don't know.
I would have gone to Houston.
Yeah, that would have been a good trip.
You could still get a game.
Last time I drove to Waco, the traffic was so bad that I just wanted to hang myself. It was horrible. It was very bad. So,
okay.
Let's go anyway.
Yeah.
Let's go anyway. Come on now.
Don't tell me. Anyway, so I guess getting to basketball,
That's the beating of our heart and our love for the game around ball, right?
Yeah.
I do. I love basketball. It's just that I always spend the first couple of weeks after football, like you do, kind of mooning around and going, I don't want to.
Yeah, because that's why.
But we had the Diamondback this weekend.
And I'm not going to go along the lines of saying Sharyland got upset because Brownsville Porter's a tough team.
17-2.
They're the real deal.
Did you know what that Economides offensive line? That's the Porter Cowboys because they got 4 or 5 guys, Betancourt, Salazar, De Los Santos, that have played together since 1912. They know everything about each other.
Yeah.
That's like the team when you get to the gym that's running everybody 3, 4, 5 games in a row, all their buddies that have played together, and you can't beat them.
Yeah, no.
But Rowe did. Somehow Rowe beat them. In fact, Rowe split with them.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Diamondback Classic, obviously, Martin, like you said, Martin De Los Santos, he got the MVP for the
Good
Classic.
Player. He can do it all, man.
Yeah, and, I mean, Sharyland's, Pat De La Torre had 9 points, 5 rebounds.
He's good. They got size.
Yeah, Matt Garlinas, 9 points, 3 assists. They made the all-turning team.
You got to love that.
They're...
Sharyland's like this. They got a lot of size, but they're having some injury problems
Yeah.
right now. They got 2 kids on the shelf, and they start the district with a win over Economides, but they're in a little rough patch right now.
Well, they followed up with a win. It was not the district, but they opened up with that Memorial win, which gave them a lot of confidence. Because,
No, they're a good basketball team.
Because the Memorial had a lot of media before the season.
Yeah, they did, and they're bumping along about 500 now. We'll get to that McAllen district. Let's stick with Sharyland's district. Okay, so the Rattlers got a lot of big kids, and they look to be one of the favorites. I feel like, and we've said it before, that North has a good chance too. You notice what North did twice already to Bobcats? Took them out, man. They didn't kill them. They beat them by what?
Yeah.
I think they beat them 2, and then they beat them 10. Bottom line is they got more depth.
Yeah.
And Brian went off for 28 in one of them games. That dude can play. Brian Beltran is some kind of player. North is 8-4, 1-0 in district. And to me, if it's not Sharyland that's the favorite to win that district, then it's probably me. Bobcats, meanwhile, Tuesday, Bobcats Vela. That's going to be good, both boys and girls. So remember, everybody, boys and girls, the doubleheader format is back, which means that 6 o'clock girls right now, 7:30 boys, and then they'll switch it up at the halfway point. I got to get on the screen here. So it's a great thing for us because we can see 2 games for the price of 1. I say price and figuratively because we get in free. Yeah. It's our one perk, right?
Yeah.
We may make nothing, but we get in free. I mean, you can't beat it.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
No,
everyone else is lined up.
Yeah,
I know. I hate to say that, not to be mean.
That credential is no. That's
It's like a golden ticket.
it really is. That's one of the reasons why I do this for a living. Yeah.
So let's talk about the Vela and Edinburgh matchup. I think that's going to be a good one. Tuesday night, I believe it's at Vela. And so the girls right now are good. They're like 12-5. They're 3-0.
Which used to be the old EHS.
Yeah, that's the first shot out of the box. I watched them play Economides, and Vela is interesting because the ethos of that school so far has been very confident.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people are taking offense to that on the other teams because I think maybe part of it's jealousy or just envy or even just kind of rivalry, but they don't necessarily love Vela. It's one of the undercurrents I've noticed. I would never of course write about that, and I don't think that it's pervasive.
Yeah.
But I have heard. I think maybe part of it's like, nah, man, they're the new guy. Let's go beat up on them. That's natural.
Well, yeah, that is natural. And then, after what happened in football, you're kind of like, well, maybe we can go over there and just beat on them.
Well, I got news for you. The girls are good, and Emily Azubel, she's going to give Mitch an interesting night.
Nice.
They may or may not play against each other totally, but they're both big kids. I like Emily a lot, man. She's active. She's long armed. She can score. She likes to get out and run the break, man. Her and Mitch both like to get out and run. So every now and then they'll just come tearing out of there like Mustangs with the ball. And more often than not, something good will happen. Going to be a wonderful game. Ariel Rodriguez had 5 3-pointers, 20 points in Vela's last game. If she hits the outside shot, that team is going to be hard to beat. Same thing for Eileen Martinez at EHS. If she hits her shots and she is a good shooter, then they're going to be fine. Which of these players around these 2 groups of stars will come to matter? I think EHS probably at this point has to be a favorite in that game, but I think Vela's going to play well.
Nice.
It's going to be a good game.
Nice. And that's tomorrow.
Yeah. And the boys are like this. Vela is 3-9, but they got 6 or 7 kids that are starting to learn the game. I feel like they'll probably make better strides in the district season, say, than football did, because you get more chances. You got 30 games instead of 10, right? So, you get more game practice. You can say a kid's in the weight room, and you can say he looks great running, but until you get him in a game, you don't know what he can do.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And you don't know what the team will do.
Yeah, you don't. You just got to wait and see if they can play because no matter how you look, you get on the court.
It's a whole different story. Because
people
even if it's your
around,
teammates, right, that aren't you.
Yeah.
Because in practice, even you'll kind of have a 5 or 10% slack because that's your buddy. Not, you don't do it on purpose. But he don't want to beat you. You're on the same team.
Exactly.
In the game, a dude is going to knock you down and laugh at you and put a damn layup on you. So you got to get used to that. They're all back next year.
Yeah.
And right now, I think that they have a chance to be a spoiler. I think Economides has a chance to be a spoiler. Danny B, the little point guard, 3-year starter, is playing well. They haven't got a ton of wins lately, but you can't count them out. So in order, I think North is probably looking strongest. EHS next, Vela, and then Economides is right about the same there. It's a long season. We just barely got started. But EHS needs to play well. They need to beat Vela. If they go down 0-2 and they lose to Vela after losing to North, that's just not psychologically where you want to be early in the season because it's still got Sharyland.
I was about to say, Sharyland still, it's a big season.
Yeah,
and it just goes into January and then starting off bad. It's kind of hard. Once you're in the mud, you're in the rut, You're trying to get full out. Your wheels are just turning and turning.
And every night you go out, the kids are afraid to make the same mistakes they made last time that you hollered at them for. And so it gets a little bit difficult. I think the thing that's going to save those teams is great coaches. Let me tell you a little bit about Economini's girls real quick, because I was observing Kelly Garrett, as I always do, former Pan Am point guard.
Yeah.
Look, man, she is so smart. Let me tell you why. They ain't got but 6 or 7 kids, and they're quality kids, but they don't have the depth. They can't run up and down the court, so the offense they run is patient passing, half-court offense, maybe a little motion, a lot of cutters, a lot of screens. First of all, it's good old-fashioned basketball, and I enjoy watching it. The other thing is this year, and it's matched their personnel. This year, though, they have some kids who can finish. I mean, they're scoring more than they have in the past off that offense, and that makes them dangerous. They've lost their 3 district games by 5, 6, and 11. So it's not like they're getting pounded.
Yeah, sure.
They're just wearing out in the end.
Sure.
Blanca Barrientos is the one that flashes off the high post and down the lane. She can score. Emily Suarez, that sophomore point guard. Remember Sweet Pea, the little gal, district champ in the cross country? She's just a wonderful kid. She's scoring. She had 14 the other night. Mark my words, the more Emily scores, the better Economini's will be. And I don't mean I want to go out there like World Be Free and shoot 72 times. I mean, or like Ben Gordon or somebody. Sure. But she can score, and she's going to have to look for that. See, what happens is Emily will give you a little move and go with, and then she'll get in the lane at about 12 feet. Shoot that runner. Because the thing is, they're looking for you to dump the ball down. And she'll get that. She'll shoot that little runner, and she'll get fouled, and she'll be scoring 15 a game. I think they have a chance because they play within themselves. They have a system that suits the personnel, and you better not sleep on them because I watched Vela beat them, but it was tough because Vela did not get to run up and down the court like they wanted. It's going to be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it tons, man. I mean, hey, listen, now I make jokes about football and being sad. Listen, if you guys want to go out and play Tiddlywinks or Monopoly, I'd probably go and check it out and say who won. So it's all right. It's good.
Scrabble.
Right, Scrabble. There's a Scrabble tournament. Yeah. That's what my wife says. What next, badminton? I'm like, I don't even really know what that is.
Hey,
but I thought I covered it.
Hey, they do Scrabble for big money on ESPN.
Oh, my, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, once you avoid cable and TV, then yeah, it's good.
Yeah, no, they do Scrabble for big money on ESPN. So
I'm one, you know me, I'm one of the dummies who say I can't stand TV, but I always end up on it. Well, you take advantage of what little talent you have.
Yeah.
Anyway, now what about McAllen basketball? Are we starting to see any trends develop?
Row.
Both, right?
Yeah.
Both boys and girls
both,
looking good.
Yeah. They both handled, last Tuesday, they handled Mac High.
Yeah, started district, right?
Yeah, Mac High seems to be struggling a little bit.
Not scoring a lot.
Yeah, it was definitely a low-scoring affair. Rowe, I think, beat them
70-44.
Yeah,
and the boys.
Yeah, it was a lot. Yeah,
girls was closer.
Girls was actually closer, but being at the game, I was actually at that game, which the schedule confused me. Anyway,
we gotta get those schedules right, man. Every week is some kind of disappointment.
Not to say that I wouldn't watch the girls, but anyway. They were close, but it was really dominant.
Rowe had.
Yeah.
Hey, is Rowe? Let me ask you this, because in the past they've had some really physical, aggressive teams, borderline like knock you down teams. Are they that physical this year?
They were a little bit physical. They're more. They were shooting the ball from the outside a lot.
Right? And that's what McAllen always did.
Yeah.
That's what McAllen's forte.
Yeah, and not to knock Mac High or anything. They were fighting,
right.
But Rowe just had the more talent.
What about Shante Garcia?
Yeah.
21 points the other night. I think she's going to be a good player.
She really is, yeah.
I keep saying that name. It's like, wait a minute, 15, 21. That's pretty good.
Yeah, no, and she did well. And
the Underwood's all right, too.
Yeah. Memorial, they're looking to win.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they got some kids.
Yeah,
they got some players.
They do, and I really don't know. Like I said, they got all that media attention at the beginning of the year. And,
you're talking about the boys?
Yeah, no, the boys. Sorry,
we're swinging back and forth.
I'm sorry, the boys. Yeah, they got that.
Who else besides Papita?
Exactly.
That's the question. Yeah. Who else is going to step up and be counted?
Somebody has to.
And they will. They will. The Rowe boys, probably the best team.
I would go with that.
I mean, they beat Porter, right?
Yeah.
On 17-2 Porter team, they beat them. They did lose to Sharyland, right? Or they beat them?
No, they. I can't remember either off the top of my head,
But I like the team. I like the team a lot.
Yeah, and they got the Palms Classic coming up. So.
Oh, that's right.
Should be
City of Palms, and then the girls will be in what? The Jostens?
Yeah.
Nice holiday basketball.
Yeah.
Look, in a way, you don't want to play these tournaments because it's like, oh God, all the hassle during the holidays, and you take some away from it. You have to play them. But what you don't want is kids going home for 2 weeks playing video games, eating turkey pot pies, and come back and can't even set a screen. Now, I'm not being ugly, but I'm telling you, these guys do not want to lay out from what? December 10th to like January 4th. That's 3 weeks, man. Who knows what's going to happen? Now, maybe the kid works out hard during that time. So the tournament kind of gets them out of that holiday reverie. You don't want a kid because human beings will be lazy during the holidays. You want that kid to work out and to hoop and come back and go to that tournament and do something.
Yeah, and so we got that tournament coming up, which will have videos and stuff like that, photo galleries, and I don't know. It should be good basketball.
Well, I guess next week we'll try to get more into Sharyland and Mission and Mission Vets because both of those teams are looking pretty solid. In other words, we're just beginning the journey here in high school basketball. We're going to do the same thing.
One,
And it is.
Yeah.
We're going to do the same thing we did with football. You know, we're going to break this stuff down by team and by kid and by town. And so by the time we reach into mid-January, I think we'll have a pretty good handle on
I really
what
do.
to-
Yeah, I really do.
I've been trying to spread the word on other various media that we're doing this and we're continuing this because people started to catch on about football. But hey, you know, we're here to do basketball too. And despite, you know, the fact that we're both going through major rehabilitation, I think we're going to be all right. We're going to, you know,
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
get-
be able to join hands and say we okay. You know.
We'll be fine. Yeah, we'll get it. We'll definitely start getting out. Basketball is barely started anyway, so
Look out for them all-district lists that are coming out and the awards from the state. I know that 956 we gave our All-Valley team. The other group will probably have theirs in a week or two. So, you know, it's nice to be able to tell the Valley world that these kids did well. And then 20 years from now, they can look back and say, see, Junior, I told you I was a player. You need to do your push-ups, you know?
yeah, I doubt that. But
No.
yeah,
Ideally, in a perfect world.
Yeah.
What else is there? Let's sign off. Or is there
I
any
think
other-
I think we could sign off point. For right now, that's about it. Just basketball's coming up, and
Keep looking at the website.
Yeah.
You guys know you're crazy about the computer, so get on there and do something
Get on
productive. Go to yourvalleyvoice.com.
we got some videos. We're gonna have photo galleries and some stories, and
Maybe cartoons, some contests, Sudoku. No,
Yeah.
okay, no,
yeah,
it's
probably,
possible, but
yeah.
unlikely.
Yeah. But so that's
That's what we have.
yeah.
Talking Sports, one of the last editions of the year, but certainly not the last of our treasure trove and wealth of information here on yourvalleyvoice.com. We're out of here.